everybody. Hello, hello, hello. And you are the Sunday warriors of the festival. It takes a lot. We know this. Sunday late night, that's like it's a celebration of those still standing at DelFest. And we're really glad you're here with us. And we're going to play a song that she requested. This is your idea, so we appreciate that.
Mama's down the road. Return. Let round. Be free. Let's travel back to my hometown, my house brought to the ground. Keep bowing down, he's meant to be free. Lord have mercy on me. Lord have mercy on me. Will always haunt me. Smiles I can't receive. Wipe my mind clean. Wipe my mind clean. Please return. Let now be free.
This next song is a request as well from our banjo picking buddy Dave Johnston. He wanted to hear this song, so we're going to play it for him. It's the Greensky request hour this evening, folks. Yes, indeed.
Well, they blew up the chicken man till last night, and they blew up his house too. Down on the boardwalk, getting ready for a fight. Gonna see what them racket boys can do. Now there's trouble bossing in from out of state. And I bought us 2 tickets on that coastal bus. Baby, everything dies, baby, that's a fact. Maybe everything that dies someday comes back. Put your makeup on, make sure you're a pretty. Let it say. Looking for a job, it's hard to find. There's winners and there's losers, I'm south of the line. And I'm tired of coming up on losing it. Talked to a man last night, I won't do their favors forever. Everything nice, baby, that's the fact. Maybe rain may die, someday come back. Put your makeup on, get your hair up quick. Meet me at night in Nanny City. Meet me at night in Nanny City. Meet me at night in Nanny City. and I rock with these possessions. First, I see folks know but somebody told me to respond. Molly rolls me down. I was happy, but now I'm weak. 'Cause the rest of my fear I'm leaving. Going on with my demons.
Peck showed little interest in performing on the stage until he went as a medical student to the University of California.
A man came and said, "I'm the director of the little theater, and I need a tall actor. And I've seen you on the campus, and I wonder if you'd come and have a try." And I don't know why I did. I just said, well, why not? And I don't know what led me. If I'd said no, or I don't see the point of it, my life would be entirely different. I went to New York, and I went to dramatic school. I went through the usual months and years of being hungry at times and living in rented rooms. But eventually I began to work in the theater. Eventually I went to Broadway. My Broadway debut, if I can call it that, was with the wonderful Gladys Cooper, played by Emlyn Williams, called The Morning Star. One thing led to another, and eventually I came out to do films, and I fell in love with filmmaking. My first film director, whose name was Jacques Tourneau, kept saying to me, "Greg, could you just common up your speech a little bit? Just, not so many consonants. Let me not hear all those T's and P's, and just common it up a little bit, because you sound like a stage actor."
Almost immediately as a result of that first film, you became a hot property with various major studios bidding for you, including, I believe, Louis B. Mayer.
He did say to me that he could take me and mold me, and I could shine in the firmament of his stars with Clark Gable and Joan Crawford and Greta Garbo, if I would only sign a 7-year exclusive pact with him. And when I said, with all the respect in the world, Mr. Mayer, I cannot do that. I want to go back to the theater. My ambition is not to be a movie star. I hope you will ask me to make some films, but I cannot sign a 7-year exclusive contract. Well, with that, much to my amazement, enormous tears formed in his eyes. He became red in the face, and the tears rolled down his cheeks and dribbled off the end of his chin. And he began to pace up and down and go into a harangue about what a terrible mistake I was making. And he felt personally, deeply wounded that I would not allow him to manage my life. Well, I stuck to my guns, I suppose, and when we walked out, my agent and I, whose name was Leland Hayward, I said to him, "Wow, that was a performance." He said, "Oh, he does that every day."
Another movie mogul now interested in the rising star was David O. Selznick, who hadn't liked him after a screen test 4 years before, even though he did photograph Like Abraham Lincoln. In 1945, Selznick changed his mind and cast him opposite Ingrid Bergman in Hitchcock's Spellbound.
In those days, Ingrid Bergman was at the center of things, and I think it was part of my agent's master plan to put me in opposite several outstanding ladies of that day. Greer Garson and Ingrid herself.
I don't understand how it happened.
He had the theory that people might come to see those beautiful ladies on the screen, but they couldn't hardly escape seeing me there too.
That's very
and
modest.
perhaps it was a good theory. I think it fits in with a quote that I've always been fond of. It was a quote from Carol Lombard, who always said it takes 10 pictures to make a star, so that the audience accepts you over a period of time. They become accustomed to seeing you on the screen, and if they like you a little bit, they're looking forward to the next picture.
By now, Peck was an established star, ready to compete with older actors who were returning from the war, with an Oscar nomination for The Keys of the Kingdom. Another of Peck's most popular films was William Wyler's Roman Holiday, shot entirely on location in Rome and co-starring newcomer Audrey Hepburn. How did he respond to the fresh challenge of playing romantic comedy?
Oh, I seized it with a great enthusiasm because I had done a good deal of comedy in the theater, even some farce. So I jumped at the opportunity to play Roman Holiday, and I must say, aside from one television show that I did with Jack Benny, where I played comedy sketches and sang and danced with Jack and George Burns, the most fun that I've ever had working was in Roman Holiday. And the contract had been drawn up as Gregory Peck in Roman Holiday and introducing Audrey Hepburn. And I called him and I said, this cannot be. This is going to be ridiculous. This girl is going to win the Academy Award in her first role, and her name must be up above the title with mine. And this is not just a simple altruism and generosity on my part. It would look foolish any other way. And she just hit the screen like a bomb.
It does seem from the film as if everyone's having a terrific time in Rome. Although I gather William Wyler's quite a taskmaster as a director.
Yes, he is, but that's good because you know that he wants the best. If he's hard on you, if he insists on doing it over and over again, it's simply because he wants you at your best, and he wants the scene to be as good as it can possibly be. I always looked on it as a chance to do it a little bit better and to search for something new, something that would strike him as being exactly right, and wouldn't have bothered me if he'd done 127 takes.
Would you have liked to have done more comedy? More romantic comedy?
I would. I always felt every time someone sent me a comedy script that Cary Grant had seen it first and had turned it down. Around this town, he had pretty much of a monopoly on light romantic comedies.
One of Peck's finest dramatic roles, which at last gained him the Oscar as Best Actor, is as the lawyer Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird, based on the novel by Harper Lee. It's a role he was almost born to play, liberal, dependable, righteous, with a touch of Abraham Lincoln about the character, and it was offered to him at the peak of his career.
It was a true middle-class American small-town story, and those were my beginnings. On top of that, I was very much in sympathy with the lawyer who risked his personal reputation, his law practice, and even his personal safety and that of his children in defending a Negro accused of rape in the South in the year 1931. I just seemed to fit right into the part without having to work too hard at it. And the emotions were there all the time. We had that wave of emotion that went from start to finish.
At Santa Monica, the Academy Awards presentation, Sophia Loren happily presents Gregory Peck with his...
I remember hearing my name called out for the Oscar and in a daze walking up the aisle, and I had in my hand a gold watch that Harper Lee, the author, had given me, which her father had carried in the courtroom for 35 years, and she'd given it to me. And then up on the stage was none other than Sophia Loren, with a hug and a kiss and a gold statue. So that was a nice moment.
I believe you almost missed the Oscar ceremony, and all because of a horse called Owen Sedge.
The press had it that I might be the owner of a winning Grand National horse on a Saturday and be back in Hollywood and win the Oscar on a Monday. That, of course, was a wonderful pipe dream. I wasn't actually trying to do that.
Then Team Spirit, then Owen Sedge, and then
But Owen Sedge ran a respectable seventh and came cantering in very nicely, and then we flew back, and the Oscar ceremony was the following Monday.
During the mid-1960s, Peck took time out from acting to involve himself in government sponsorship of the arts, the presidency of the Film Academy, and charity work, for which he was awarded a special Oscar in 1968 and honoured with a Presidential Medal from Lyndon Johnson. His reputation as a campaigner for liberal causes had become inseparable from his film work, as he discovered when a journalist put the question to him at a press conference in the Third World.
From what we hear about you, you are what they call in America a liberal. You come out for civil rights legislation for the blacks. You come out against anti-Semitism. I said, yes, yes. I suppose that's true. All right, he said. How do you account for your appearance in these racist Western films that you've made? And for just a moment, I drew an absolute blank. And I looked at the faces around me. They were all people of color. And I realized that they saw the Red Indian as a person to whom they could relate. And they saw the white men pushing them aside, devastating their land, putting them in reservations. And it's true. We did that. Well, I was certainly hung up for an answer. I think an angel touched me on the shoulder because I said to him, I will never shoot another Indian in a movie.
3 years after that programme, Peck made a rare chat show appearance here in the UK on The Wogan Show. And it was that Oscar-winning role in To Kill a Mockingbird that opened the conversation.
Well, it's good to see you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Is that your favourite film, To Kill a Mockingbird?
Just about. It probably was closer to the real me than almost any other film. My childhood was small town, and my dad was not the town lawyer, but he was the town druggist, and our life was not too different from what was seen in the movie. I have a wonderful recollection of the first day of filming. The author, as you know, is a lady, Harper Lee, and she was there for the first day of filming. And the scene was that I came home from the courthouse or my law office with my briefcase, and my two children, I was a widower, ran down to the end of the street, and the boy took and we strolled down the street talking over the day's news. There was a camera tracking alongside of us. And as we were in the middle of the scene with the dialogue and all, I looked out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of Harper Lee behind the camera. And I thought I saw tears glistening on her cheeks. So when we finished it, the director said, well, I think we've got it. No use doing that again. So we felt a bit pumped up about that. We'd done, we thought, a very touching and moving scene. And I walked over to Harper Lee and I said, Harper, I thought I saw you out of the corner, and I thought there were tears on it. What went wrong? What's wrong? And she said, oh, Gregory, she said, you've got a little pot belly just like my daddy. The highest praise, highest, best review I ever got.
But the part of Atticus Finch, a compassionate, quietly brave, and noble soul, is that how you see yourself?
A compassionately
brave,
noble,
and
quiet, no, not at all.
Isn't?
No. No.
How do you see yourself?
A very lucky fellow who got into somehow a profession that he loved and just kept working away at it for, good Lord, about 45 years now, and have enjoyed every film, and still have enormous enthusiasm, and still have rosy dreams about making the perfect movie one day. And so I think one is very lucky to get into a job like that one loves doing, and it's been going on quite a long time now.
Did you grow up with acting ambitions?
Oh, not at all, no.
How did you start?
Well, I graduated from college, and I fell in love with the theater, when I was in college, and I thought, well, I'll go to New York and see what I can do. I'll give it a try for a few years. So I went to drama school, and at the end of 2 years, they had what they called a demonstration play, and agents and talent scouts came to have a look and see us do our stuff. And then it was the custom for the students to go back to the school the next morning and wait for the phone calls. They sometimes came, sometimes didn't. There was a call, and the receptionist put her hand over the phone, and she looked at me. She said, "It's for you." And it was a famous producer named Guthrie McClintock, interested to see me about a small role in a play called The Doctor's Dilemma by Shaw. Well, I didn't wait for the end of the sentence. I took off. I knew exactly where his office was. It was 6 blocks away. And for your viewers who don't know Manhattan geography, I dashed across 46th Street, 4 blocks up 6th Avenue, to the building where Guthrie McClintock's office was, into the elevator, up to the 8th floor, skidded down the hall, into his office. He's still talking on the phone to the receptionist. And he stared at me. There I was, the fellow, and he began to laugh, and then that segued into a cough, and he went into a kind of a fit, and slid off of the seat, laughing, coughing, and he said, "You've got the job." So that was the beginning. It had nothing to do with anything except that I was a pretty fast runner in those days.
But you seem to make a lot of very successful movies almost from day one. Do you remember your first movie? What was your first movie?
I don't think about it much.
I see.
It was called Days of Glory, but let's go on.
We'll skip on over that, will we? Well, the first one you were quite proud of.
The Keys of the Kingdom,
of course,
was a huge success. My second role, and from really being broke in New York and wandering around producers' offices, leaving my biography and my 8x10 stills.
You see, if I may say so, it was very hard to picture Gregory Peck hawking his wares around New York. I mean, one imagined you were a star from day one, that they said, "It's him, let's have him. Put him in the movies."
Didn't quite happen that way.
Didn't it?
No. No, it took a few years of doing all that, auditioning and knocking on doors and begging until finally I did get started. And that was due to the fact that I could run 6 blocks in 2 minutes.
Can you still move quite speedily? Are you nipping on the pins?
I'm not quite as nimble as I used to be. I move well, but slowly.
With a certain grace.
We try. I've worked with some lovely girls, with Ava Gardner.
You have, haven't you?
Yes, with Ingrid Bergman, and Jennifer Jones, Angie Dickinson, Lee Remick, and probably a few others I can't think of at the moment, but they're all quite marvelous. And Jane is certainly in that group of top film actresses.
You wouldn't pick out one that you really stimulated you above the others to fine performances?
Oh, that's the way we're going to
No. There isn't a hint. Please. There isn't a hint of smut about that question. I just felt Did you, which one inspired you to your best acting performance?
Well, I have to say they all did. But I would like to say that there is a lady in London with whom I made 3 pictures, and I've loved her for a good many years. And in a way, we're kind of what we call down south kissing cousins. I mean to say we're both small town folks to start with, and I love her dearly, and she may be listening tonight, and it's Ava Gardner.
Yes, she lives in London now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd be delighted with the tribute.
Well, I'll see her soon, and I'll find out whether she was or not.
We've had, on this very program, we've had various tributes to you. Sophie Loren said that no man could consider himself handsome unless he had your nose.
Did she say that?
She did.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. Yeah. That's very nice. Your voice has always been one of your great professional assets. I think you've got the voice to go with the stature.
You know, I had nothing to do with it. It was just there.
Yeah.
Something to do with the adenoids, I think. One time I was in the film studio in Rome, Cinecittà, and I was walking down a corridor in the sound department, and I heard my voice coming from behind closed doors. And so I opened and peeked in, and there was an Italian actor who was standing before the screen recording. I was on the screen in a film, and he was recording my lines in Italian. So I stepped in, and of course I met him, and we shook hands and embraced, and he took an intense interest in the state of my health. He said, "Are you well, Mr. Peck?" I said, "Yes, as far as I know." And a little later he said, Are you quite well? You exercise and you feel quite fit?" I said, "Yes, I think so." And he said again, "Are you really well?" I said, "Yes, I'm really well." "Why are you so interested in my health?" He said, "I have dubbed your voice in 27 movies, and I have raised 5 children doing it. And I want you to stay in very good health and make another 27 films." We've remained the best of friends. As far as I know, he's still doing it.
You've made some pictures here, and I know you have a lot of friends here. And over the years, people like David Niven and Cary Grant were great friends of yours.
Yes. I remember them with great affection. You know, Niven was really one of the most entertaining men who ever lived. And I will never forget being at the Oscar show, and David was on, and I was in the wings ready to hand the statue to somebody. And this is the famous show when suddenly a streaker somehow got into the theater and dashed all the way across the stage behind David. And the audience began to laugh, and David just looked like that. And without any hesitation, he said, "There's a man who's not concerned with his own shortcomings." I thought, really, it's the best ad lib that I've ever seen. And of course, Jack Hawkins was a dear friend of mine, and Laurence Olivier. I met him when I was quite young, and he was already the greatest actor in the world. And I met Sir Lawrence and Vivien Leigh, and I was a bit intimidated I'm not intimidated much by anybody, but I had such respect and reverence for this man, all that he'd done in the theater and in film. I was a bit shy, but then I didn't have much to say to him. But then years later, we worked together in The Boys from Brazil, and I found out he was one of the warmest, easiest men to be with, and we became good pals. And we had a desperate fight in The Boys from Brazil with a pack of mad dogs, and
Yes.
It was all choreographed, and we did 4 gouges and 1 kick and 1 punch. and the director would say, "Cut," and we'd lie on the floor giggling like schoolboys. In between that, we'd do another gouge and another punch and another kick, and with the mad dogs dashing around. Of course, the dogs, it's all pretense, you know. The dogs are really pussycats in disguise. What they do when they leap at you is they're following the trainer's orders. They're good professional dogs. They're retrieving something. The trainer might say just before the take, he say, "Now fetch, fetch." And he looks at the dog, and the dog sort of goes like that. You know? They turn the camera, the dog runs at you, and he fetches your lapel back, or he tries to. And then later on, they put in the barking and the snarling and the growling, and they have some contraption to lift their lips and make their fangs show.
Thank heaven.
But actually, yes, I was glad of that too. Yeah.
The American Film Institute made a presentation of the Life Achievement Award.
You know, the Life Achievement Award has, if you think about it, slightly ominous ring to it. and I remember I got up there and I said, you know, James Mason was a friend of mine, and I said, James was not a man with a lot of jokes, but he had one joke that he liked to tell. Had to do with his filming in Dublin, going out one evening for a walk and window shopping. And he had a trench coat and a hat. Didn't think he'd be recognized. And a little lady trailed along behind him and finally worked up the nerve, and she tapped him on the shoulder and she said, "I beg your pardon, sir, but wouldn't you be James Mason in his later years?" And I like that good Irish phrase, later years. I like it because it's candid and it's dispassionate, but it's comfortable because it leaves the possibility of more to come.
There was more to come. Peck continued acting and winning awards right through the 1990s. He died in 2003, aged 87, just weeks after the American Film Institute had named Atticus Finch as the greatest film hero of all time. On hearing of his death, Harper Lee said, "Gregory Peck was a beautiful man